Chapter 761, Looking at the photos, Tangning is the winner. She looked exactly like a person from a painting. In ancient times, there were a wide variety of hairstyles. Amongst them, the snake bun was one of the most difficult to pull off. But, when applied to Tangning, it did not appear like a burden at all. As she was playing a forgotten concubine, she did not wear any fancy hairpins or accessories. Yet she looked noble and elegant. Her yellow dress made her look ethereal and warm. But, her eyes contained a cold and unapproachable aura. Before King Lan had traveled through time, she barely wore warm-colored colors. But, because the previous emperor had once told her that yellow made her look ethereal and warm, she fell in love with this particular set of clothes. However, her tragic story began from there. Because, from that moment onwards, the emperor never saw her again. Although he didn't throw her into exile, she was practically a forgotten concubine. So beautiful. You're honestly beautiful. It was at this same time that King Lan met the neglected Prince Junilin. A forgotten concubine took care of a neglected prince. They were only 3 years apart in age, but they were practically like mother and son. The King Lan in the past wouldn't have been able to guide Junilin, but the King Lan that traveled through time was exceptionally talented. To prevent his beloved woman from suffering the same fate as someone who was in exile, Junilin strived to take over the throne. Tangning's heart ached for the two main characters. At the same time, she couldn't help but feel relieved. Luckily, she lived in the modern world in a country that was rich, powerful and free. If we release these photos to the public, everyone will go crazy. She's much too beautiful. The makeup artist sighed. What about the male lead? Tangning couldn't help but ask. I still don't know who the male lead is. You guys must have done a costume fitting for him too, right? Nope, the staff all shook their heads. We honestly haven't. Fine, I won't make things difficult for you. Perhaps, the only person on set that knew who the male lead was the director. Tangning cooperated for the next 2 costume fittings and had photos taken while the photographer cheered in excitement. Tangning did not say a word, she simply smiled. After her work was complete, she returned to the set to watch the supporting characters being filmed. The director was Chen Feng and his filming quality was naturally flawless. But, apart from this, the entire crew were especially focused. It was clear to see that Muting had put in a lot of effort in a short period of time to find a variety of skilled actors. After all, there was nothing more important than good acting. So, Tangning felt a lot more relaxed. The mystery behind the male lead became an endless topic of discussion amongst the crew. But, Chen Feng did not explain anything. After all, when the time was right, he knew everything would naturally be revealed. Soon, the forensic concubine released Tangning's photos to the public. In an instant, heated discussions filled the air. Quick, look, Tangning's photos have been released. Wow, she definitely doesn't disappoint. She's so beautiful. As a fan of the forensic concubine, I feel relieved after seeing these photos. I'm especially convinced by Tangning's acting, because even her photos are capable of drawing people in. Tangning's acting is all in her eyes. They are especially good at sending precise messages. After seeing these photos, I am extra certain that she is suited to being an actress. Mining is gorgeous. Afterwards, someone placed Tangning's photo next to Beiyu's and began comparing them. This was a normal response as both women were hot topics and they were competitors. So, the public wanted to compare their capabilities. But, even though Beiyu's fans previously praised her so highly, when placed beside Tangning, she was suddenly like a mere passerby. In fact, she looked especially old next to her. I feel like Beiyu is acting as Tangning's mother. Ha ha, I know right. Previously, when I looked at Beiyu, I thought she looked okay with her thick and stunning makeup. She completely had the powerful presence of a concubine Ning. But, now that she is placed next to Tangning, anyone can point out her flaws. Beiyu's fans immediately retaliated. The two of them are from different periods. Of course you can't compare them. Exactly. The headpiece on Tangning's head is heavy enough to squash her to death. Tangning looks like a fragile white lotus. She's nothing like our domineering Beiyu. Seeing this, the forensic concubine released photos of Tangning in her Empress Dowager costume. Now, the two women were on the same level. The fans had nothing else to say. Because, Even when Baeyu's costume and makeup changed to another stage in life, her gaze was still the same. On the other hand, Tangning was different. As a forgotten concubine, she looked cold and miserable, but as an empress dowager, she appeared powerful but helpless. She said it all in her gaze. Simply looking at the photos, Tangning is the winner. I've always felt that Tangning was born with the gift of acting because she has a good level of understanding. Although other people can be trained, they can't compare to her. Look at the way that Baeyu's fans over-exaggerate with their praises and end up slapping each other in the face. It sure is an eye-opener. I'm looking forward to The Forensic Concubine. I'm really anticipating it. Although I already know the story, I can't wait to see Tangning act it out. It will definitely be fun to watch. Although the male lead is a bit of a shame, I still hope to see photos of them together. Exactly. The public's reaction was due to the assumption that Wang Fuxiu was the male lead. But, even after Tangning had been on set for a few days, no one had heard anything about the male lead even though Tangning and Wang Fuxiu had already met. In reality, Wang Fuxiu liked being around people, whereas Tangning preferred peace and quiet. The two merely tolerated each other, but they didn't have much to chat about because their personalities were too different. Wang Fuxiu was like the life of the set. Whenever he heard others gossip, he would play along with them. Yes, I'm the male lead. Who else would suit the role better than me? You guys keep talking about the male lead all day. Am I not handsome enough? In reality, The Forensic Concubine had no intention of revealing their male lead. It was a part of their plan. It seems like this is all the other production has. After all, the male lead isn't very favorable. Baeyu's assistant comforted her. They've already thrown their ultimate move. Let's see what else they can do in future to attract attention. Perhaps, the only flaw with The Forensic Concubine was the fact that Wang Fuxiu wasn't suitable for the male lead. However, at this time, a fan suddenly questioned on the drama's official website. The website still hasn't officially announced their male lead. It's still a surprise. I'm going to anticipate the day when the mystery is revealed. Wang Fuxiu had manipulated the public for so long because he wanted to divert Baeyu's attention. So, now that filming had commenced, he could finally clarify everything. As a result, the public were shocked. It turns out, Wang Fuxiu isn't the male lead. So he's not the male lead. Ha ha. I found myself subconsciously breathing a sigh of relief. In that case, who could it be? I'm really looking forward to finding out. Chapter 762, The True Junilin. Although Tangning wanted to know who the male lead was, she did not show it on her face. She knew, when they finally had scenes together, they'd eventually meet. So, it was only a matter of time. Because Tangning had no manager and assistant by her side, the crew took extra care of her. In fact, some members of staff didn't quite understand what she was thinking. Look at you. You're so famous and can have everything you want, why don't you find yourself an assistant? If you look at other big shots, they always have 2 assistants and 4 bodyguards by their side. This has already become the norm. Yet, you're still doing everything on your own. The Andy that delivered lunch to the set noticed that no one ever came to collect Tangning's lunch for her, so she personally brought it to Tangning. As Tangning ate, she felt very warm inside. I think I'm fine on my own. I don't have anything that requires special care. Auntie, you're a good person. Hayes, it's hard to come across a steadfast person like you. Eat more. It's not that Tangning didn't need an assistant, but, because of the incident with Song Sin, she no longer thought it was necessary to have one. Especially after giving birth to twins, she no longer felt like a person had any need for special care. Tangning smiled and accepted the Andy's kindness. But, a moment later, a surprised shriek could be heard coming from the set. I heard the male lead appeared on set. The male lead is here. Did you see who it was? I only heard about it. Won't we end up seeing him in the afternoon? Indeed, in the afternoon, Tangning and the male lead would be filming a scene together. Tangning refused to believe that he wouldn't be showing up. Oh God, I can't wait. After lunch, Tangning sat on set reading her script. The scene that afternoon would be quite important. Firstly, she would be filming with the secondary male. Afterwards, she would film a scene with the male lead which almost results in a break in their relationship. So, She needed to have 100% focus. This scene was also the first scene between herself and Huang Fuxiu. She was actually quite excited. Even though Huang Fuxiu defied convention, his acting ability could not be ignored. So, not long after, Tang Ning and Huang Fuxiu began their first scene together. Huang Fuxiu's character was one that stuck by the female lead's side. While everyone assumed that he was a eunuch, he was actually a prince from another kingdom who had been undercover beside the female lead for many years. This man's feelings towards the female lead were complex and ever-changing. But, of course, he simply appeared like a cheery person in front of everyone. As his character's personality was similar to how he was in real life, Huang Fuxiu was extremely relaxed and his interaction with Tang Ning was very entertaining. The two actors only made 2 mistakes before they completed the scene successfully. Afterwards, it was time for Tang Ning and the male lead's scene. After hearing that the male lead was already on set, Huang Fuxiu joked in a shameless way, "I refuse to believe that there is another actor on set who is better at acting and more handsome than me." But, at this time, a dark figure appeared from the change room. He was tall and incomparable. "Oh God, look, look, oh my God." Every single person that saw Mo Ting couldn't help but feel excited, almost losing control of their emotions. On one side of the set, Huang Fuxiu was talking his head off, making everyone smile and laugh. But, on the other side, everyone that saw Mo Ting walk past, felt their minds explode in shock. "I'm the most handsome. I refuse to believe that the male lead would be better looking than I am." At this time, Mo Ting appeared from behind him. The two men were very different in height. As everyone looked at them, they covered their mouths in shock. Meanwhile, Tang Ning was so stunned that she threw her script to the side. Even though she had guessed that the male lead was Mo Ting, she had never seen him in clothes like this. He was indeed born with a king-like presence. From the looks of it, Huang Fuxiu definitely looked like a supporting character. Am I seeing things? Is that President Mo?" The staff member next to Tang Ning shook her arm and asked, "Is he alive and real?" "Yes." Tang Ning regained her composure and nodded her head at the staff member. "I've never seen a man look so good in ancient attire. I feel so lucky. I'm about to faint." "Oh, President Mo has arrived to work with his wife. This is the true Junilin. No one is more suited to this character than him." Seeing everyone was in a craze, Huang Fuxiu turned around to leave. But, he was frightened by Mo Ting, who was standing behind him. Huang Fuxiu could not deny that Mo Ting was the emperor that hated the world, Junilin. "What a surprise, Tang Ning. Did you already know about this?" "I am in the same position as you guys. I only found out now," Tang Ning replied to the staff. "In that case, is Mother pleased with this result?" Mo Ting said in a similar tone to his character in the script. "I tried so hard to test you, but your lips were sealed. Did you do that to create this moment?" Tang Ning couldn't help but glare at him. "Even if you didn't hide, you would have still surprised me. After all, I've never imagined that you'd look so dazzling in these clothes." "What are your thoughts, guys?" President Mo may look dazzling, but what about his acting? We only know that he can create scripts, but he can't act, can he? "I don't care if he can act or not. As long as he joins the cast, even if he has to stand there and say nothing, I would still be satisfied." The staff once again erupted in discussions. At the same time, Huang Fuxiu tried to show off his identity as an elder by saying to Mo Ting, "After you put on your costume, you and I will become colleagues. I don't think you are a gangster boss, right? Nor is it likely that you've ever acted before. Since you have no experience, do you want me to teach you?" Mo Ting was dressed in a black robe. His appearance was imposing, unlike a normal human. But, everyone was worried about his acting. Although he was the president of Hyrule and the investor behind this drama. It didn't mean that he could act. If his acting turned out horrible, what would they do? Mo Ting lowered his head and questioned Huang Fuxiu, "How do you plan to teach me?" Tang Ning giggled because of this. Afterwards, she lowered her head and returned her focus to her script. After all, the scene coming up was quite important. The eunuch played by Huang Fuxiu was discovered by Junilin, so without consulting King Lan, he directly replaced the helpers by her side. Although Tang Ning knew that the eunuch had ulterior motives, she disliked Junilin's methods. After all, she was his mother. As a result, the couple got into a huge fight. At first, Junilin respected King Lan because she was his mother. But, stressed and angry, he immediately grabbed onto King Lan's neck and asked if she had a heart. This scene required explosive power and strong emotions. Even for an actor like Wang Fushuo, it was difficult to complete the scene, let alone someone like Mo Tang. Mo Tang was like a mystery. He didn't know anything, yet he chose to be the male lead. But, most importantly, director Chan Feng actually agreed with him. Had he gone crazy from wanting to win against their competitor? If they couldn't find a male lead, they could have given it to him. Was it necessary to use someone that knew nothing?
Hit the like, thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for listening.